The January transfer window is now open, so I'm going to rank the 20 most expensive transfers of all time. But before I do, how about you do something for me and you check out my Twitter? It can be found here, it can be found here, it can be found here, and also, don't forget, it can be found here. I'm going to be using a tier system. You might have seen them before. I think they've done the rounds on YouTube every now and then. Smashed It means it couldn't really have gone much better. The next three are pretty self-explanatory. And then Don't Make Me Laugh as in get out of town if you think that was successful. Going to be starting with the least expensive and going up all the way to the most expensive ever. So Virgil van Dijk, pretty self-explanatory. I think we all know he's going to go in Smashed It. He's won everything there is to win at Liverpool and added to an already strengthening team. When he joined Liverpool, their attack was scintillating and they were getting better in that department. But at the back, they were still playing the likes of Lovren, Ragnar Klavan, and those sorts of players as well. I mean, it took him 70 games to actually lose at home. It helped them capitalise on the momentum they were building and laid the foundations for the success that they would have moving forward. Has he been a little suspect in the last 18 months or so? Yeah, he definitely has been, but he was also coming back from an ACL injury. To be honest with you, I think Van Dijk could drop an absolute stinker in every game between now and when he leaves the club, and he'd still be their best centre-back in the Premier League era by a landslide. It's not often you can call a £70 million player a bargain, but in this case you absolutely can. Romelu Lukaku, when he went to Man United, is a bit more of a tricky one. I'm going to go with average, I think. He averaged roughly a goal at every other game, which is a good record, but he didn't take United to that next level that they were really hoping that he would. It's important to mention though, I'm not judging all these players from the same starting block. You've got to consider what they were brought in to do, their reputation beforehand, how their signing has catalysed success for the club in recent years as well. I mean, he cost 80 odd million quid and he never actually terrified defences as much as he did when he was at Everton or Inter following the move. Not a bad player, but didn't catalyse success for United. I think average is pretty fair for Rom. Jadon Sancho will be our inaugural member of the Do Not Make Me Laugh club. His stats don't even compare to Nicolas Pepe when he was at Arsenal, and I think, to be honest with you, that says it all. He cost £75 million and he's never really got going in the slightest. Yes, you can put it down to the fact that he's been played out of position and he's been in a United side that has been underperforming year in, year out, probably until now really. But if you're thinking about value for money and the success they thought they'd have with him, he is well off the pace. Neymar's pretty easy for me, Smashed It, absolutely. He won the Champions League and contributed to the best front three I've ever seen, apart from a certain North London club's front three right now. I mean, Neymar's in a pretty unique situation because when he was at Santos, everyone around the world knew who he was. He had so much pressure on his shoulders and he harnessed that pressure and became a phenomenal player. The Barcelona move absolutely worked out. For me, this is prime Neymar. This is the best we've ever seen of him. He worked brilliantly with Messi and with Suarez, and it could be argued he's the last really good transfer Barcelona have made. He drinks the vodka, he drinks the Jaeger, he's been f***ing average. Yes, Harry Maguire is going firmly in average. I think, to be fair, a lot of people scapegoat him, but we do not scapegoat on this channel. I'm not having it. I think that when Harry Maguire came into the side, he performed really well and was given the captain's armband far too early by Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. I think once the cracks started to show in that United defence, he became the focal point of all the abuse. I mean, let's not forget the early part of last season. This is a defence and a team that made four-time Champions League and World Cup winning Rafael Varane look distinctly average. I mean, has he always helped himself? No. But is he the problem that people make him out to be? Definitely not. For England and for Leicester in solid defensive systems, he's done the trick all in all. I don't like the abuse he gets and I don't think it's warranted either, despite some pretty high profile errors. Gonzalo Higuain, do not make me laugh. This is a shocking transfer which goes under the radar so much. He cost 80 million quid and scored 66 goals in 149 games, considering the fact this was a league he'd been playing in for absolutely years. Not having that, disastrous signing, do not make me laugh and get out of town while you're at it. Ronaldo won, CR7, first time around, Smashed It, no doubt about it. You could argue this is the best transfer ever. It was a world record fee at the time, and when he came in, he had the pressure of the whole footballing world on his back. He came in, eventually they won La Decima, and then he won the Champions League 4 times while he was at the club. He became their best player of all time, their top goal scorer of all time, and I don't really know what more you can actually do there. He's not my GOAT, but it could be argued it's the best expensive transfer ever. Antony is below average. I mean, he's done a few pirouettes here and there and he scored the odd goal, but really it's nothing to write home about. It's pretty harsh, I admit that, but last summer, United were trying to haggle with Ajax all transfer window long, and then eventually, paid the price that Ajax wanted for him. Look, when we got Nicolas Pepe, it was argued that you're paying £72 million for a player that can only use one foot. And it's probably the same for Antony as well, but they paid that a little bit more. He's not been at the club for too long, so it could probably be average or below average. But as Bojo would say, them's the breaks. Hazard, don't make me laugh, too injury prone, too inconsistent, and often reports to Real Madrid training overweight. Easy decision, get out of town. Ronaldo to Juventus, I'm going to say below average. I would be tempted to say don't make me laugh, but he'd probably go to Piers Morgan and try and cancel me. I mean, as I said earlier in the video, I'm not judging them all on the same metric because it's pointless. I mean, some strikers could go to Serie A, win top scorer and win the league, and you'd say it's successful. But Ronaldo was brought in to take them closer to the Champions League, and they actually regressed in the competition. When you bring a player like that into the side, it takes away from the strengths of those around him because you have that one focal point that if he's not performing, you're not performing. They got to the semi-final in the year before he joined, and then I think the quarters is the best they got with him. He made the players around him worse, as he then did for Man United after that as well. And I do think for Cristiano Ronaldo, this was the beginning of the end. Bale smashed it, no doubt about that. 3 Champions League final goals, including 2 winners, and the best final goal I've ever seen live in my life. Don't be fooled by the reception that he got from Real Madrid fans. It could be argued either way. Did they start abusing him because he didn't seem to care enough? Or did he not care enough because they started abusing him? Who knows? But in his first season, they won that ever-craved La Decima, and he scored the winning goal in extra time against Atletico Madrid. The shit from him then followed, but regardless, as a world-class transfer and a world-class player. And crucially, it led to a pretty woeful transfer window for Spurs, so everyone's a winner at the end of the day. Pogba. He's going to join 2 of his United comrades on average. I think that's probably fair. I do genuinely believe he's one of the most misunderstood and underappreciated players of his generation. When he's on song, no one can touch him. And too often he was playing in a United side where he was the anchor. He was trying to bring it all together defensively as well as going forward. And that's not what he's about. I think he's more creative than he ever had license to do with Man United. If he was playing in the current United setup with Casemiro next to him, he would be on absolute fire, no doubt about it. Maybe because he wore a number 6, he was played like a 6, but for me, he's a left-sided 8. He needs to be progressing the ball, passing it up the pitch rather than trying to help out with those at the back. His defensive responsibility is not his fault, so I'm going to be pretty generous with my ranking and give him average. Lukaku, don't make me laugh, the worst transfer in my book of all time. £100 million for 1 season and absolutely shocking throughout that whole time. And he had a stroppy interview halfway through. Nah, not having it. Grealish, it could be either. It could be don't make me laugh or below average. I'll go below average, and that's kind of because I think Pep will get the best out of him at some point. Am I being a bit biased? Probably, because I really should be basing it off how he's been so far, and he has been poor so far. But he's moving from Aston Villa where he had so much individuality and so much creative freedom. He just doesn't have that at Man City, and I think you need to give him that time to adjust to it, really. I'm being lenient, I admit that, but I like the guy, so let's go with below average for now. Griezmann, do not make me laugh. Whoops, let's put him there. I don't know about Griezmann. I mean, it showed at the World Cup that he's a world-class player when he's played right, but he was brought in to be that Suarez long-time replacement, and it just never worked out in the slightest. I mean, it's not helped by the fact that Barcelona have been in absolute disarray for a long time now, but it doesn't really justify the transfer fee that they paid for him, and I think that that's really only fair. I mean, he went back to Atletico Madrid now as well, and I think that as with the Lukaku going back to Inter, it says a lot when you just want to dish him out to the nearest place that you can find. Great player, but didn't work out in the slightest, and I think the lowest tier is what's fair here. Ousmane Dembele, I'll give a little bit more leniency to, because A, he's younger, and B, he's now kind of coming into his own, and C, he had so many injury problems, he never was able to pick up a consistent run of games. I mean, his manager, Xavi, has said that he's never seen a natural talent like him. Considering the fact that he's played with Lionel Messi, that takes him up a ranking in itself. Give him a little bit more time, but he's not thus far worth the money they paid for him. Felix, I've been saying for a while I think Felix is on fraud watch. Below average is probably fair. I mean, he shows quality in periods of time, but he's never looked like an Atletico Madrid player. They're too defensive and safe for the sort of stylistic qualities that he has. He's an individual that needs to be in a team playing on the front foot, not getting men behind the ball, and playing creatively as well. £111 million. No way is he worth that. In fact, let's move him down to don't make me laugh, because that's a joke of a fee, and you're not meant to make me laugh, and I am laughing at that. The fee never gets the scrutiny that it deserves. He's a flashy player, but he's not that guy. Coutinho, same as Griezmann, flashy player, but he's never really made it work. Mbappe I'll go with above average, but the club has achieved nothing they wouldn't have achieved without him. He's obviously a cracking player and properly world class. I mean, 191 goals in 238 games is a ridiculous return for a player of his age. I mean, it's not often a £160 million transfer justifies the price, but I do think it's fair in this case. He's not smashed it simply because his signing hasn't done what they want to do, and that's win the Champions League. They could do it this season. I think he has all the hallmarks for a player that has smashed it, but just because of why they got him, not for me. Neymar, he could so easily be in the same as Mbappe here, but I'll go with average. He was the leading light that was meant to come in and get that Champions League for them, and he hasn't done it. He's missed about 100 games for the club for one reason or another, and that is poor. I mean, he usually makes the Champions League games, and it's the league games that he misses. Because of that, it shows that the only reason they got him was because of the Champions League in the first place, and he hasn't won that. He's been good, but I don't think they win any fewer trophies without him. Not the same level as he was with Barca, in my opinion. So what do you think of that? My ranking of the 20 most expensive transfers of all time. I mean, looking at it now, maybe Harry Maguire, people would want to shift around a little bit. Maybe Grealish as well. I think that's probably fairly generous on him. But I think all in all, it's pretty solid effort, to be honest. Let me know down below what you think of that. And also, as I said earlier, check out my Twitter while you're at it. Anyway, it's my first video of 2023, and I hope you will have a great year and a cracking time while you're doing it. See you next time.